Okay, we already have about 140, 45. It's going on increasing with good number of students to start with. Okay, so hi everyone. It's so good to see all of you here. I am Shreya and I'm joining in from Mumbai, India, and I'm going to be your host for this session. We have Dana here from the HPS Admissions Committee who's going to be running us through the MBA program, the prestigious MBA program that Howard runs. And once you cover the PPT that you have for the next 15 minutes, we will then open the session for a Q&A, and we're going to make sure and try our best to answer as many questions as possible. So, yes, let's get started.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. It's great to see so many people joining today, so many people interested in learning more about Harvard Business School. I am so appreciative that you're giving HBS 45 minutes of your time to learn more. My name is Dana Fernandez. I'm a member of the admissions team. I have worked at Harvard Business School for over 10 years. And in higher ed for nearly 20 years. And I'm thrilled to talk about one of my favorite things, which is the MBA program at Harvard Business School. What I thought I would do is just highlight a few critical things that I want you to know about HBS, and then use the bulk of the time to answer whatever questions are on your mind. So, the first important thing that I want you to take away is that Harvard Business School is going to prepare you to make a difference in the areas that are important to you. So, our alumni are using their general management education, the skills and knowledge that they develop and gain at Harvard Business School, to make a difference in things that are important to them. So that could be in their home region, that could be fighting climate change, that could be working for a local government, that could be working in finance, that could be investing in startups, whatever the case may be. Our program is going to prepare you to make that difference. So the academics are a hugely important part of the program. And I'm not going to go through all these details because we've got tons of information on our website. But while I'm talking, you can see this is the structure of our 2-year full-time MBA program. The two things I want to highlight about the academics and how we're going to prepare you to make this difference in whatever area you're interested in. Um, Two things are important. Second year, how you spend your extracurricular time, what courses you pick in your second year. But at the end of the day, we are prepared to the highest levels of an organization where you have to understand all the different functional areas of your organization, how they work together, how organizations intersect with the broader world. Um, so the focus is again preparing you to be at that highest leadership position, really running an organization, running a diverse group of people, getting people who think differently to act together towards a common goal or mission. And so a big piece of the general, everyone takes the academic background or your professional background. Um, and even
Hi,
people
Dana. I'm so sorry to
coming
interrupt.
from more general management perspective and everything is
Hello.
taught via the case method. And that's the think about most people know the case method. So I don't want to go into detail in explaining what that is, but I want to tell you why I think you should look at the case method, why I think it matters. The case method, you'll work on over 500 cases in the 2 years in the curriculum, where you're going to take all the courses in this program and all the courses we would hope you'd want to be taking if you're getting a 2-year MBA, things like
Hi,
accounting,
Dana. Am I
finance,
audible?
operations. Yeah,
Can someone from the chat confirm if I'm audible or not. Hi, I think we're facing some internet issue at your end. The voice is lagging and it also cuts off in between.
Hmm. Okay.
You may want to
That's
reset your
odd.
internet
Maybe,
connection.
yep. Sorry about that, guys. I am fully connected on my end. You think it's because I'm sharing slides at the same time?
That could be a reason. It's much better
Okay.
now, although the signal keeps showing us red, which is a sign of poor network every now and then.
Hmm.
So,
Okay. Let me move to a different location. So give me 1 second.
sure, sure, it's fine. Hi, guys. It could be because she's also trying to share a PPT at the same time. Um, but we'll make sure whatever was covered will be covered once more, or if you have questions about that part.
Okay, should we try that? Is this a little bit better?
Yes, yes, yes. I think it's better. We can just wait for a few of them to confirm. It's definitely better. Do you want to try sharing the PPT once more and then redo?
Uh, sure. Let's do that.
I guess what may help is if you could try switching off your video and then trying to brief us, maybe. It's
Sorry, what
still
do you want
not
me to
showing.
do?
Perhaps switching off your video may help because that also takes up a lot of bandwidth.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So you could.
Is
Okay.
that better for everybody? Okay. All right, good. Um, okay, so I was talking about the case method. I guess in a nutshell, you're going to learn a ton through the case method. You're going to develop your business acumen. There is no doubt about that. I think the real power of the case method is in the soft skill development, the leadership development that's going to happen over 2 years when you are learning things through the case method. Because case method is going to require you to be an active participant, whether it's speaking or actively listening. You are going to put yourself in the position of the business leader making the decision. You're going to do that over 500 times. And so you're going to get a lot of practice making decisions quickly with limited information. You're going to get a lot of practice articulating your point of view, listening to other people's point of view and understanding their points of view. So again, it's more than just the content. It's about the atmosphere that you're going to be part of. At Harvard Business School, we are going to challenge you to think differently. Sometimes you'll leave case and you will have changed your mind about things. That's not going to happen every time, but every time you are going to leave the classroom and the case discussion thinking about things in a different way. And that's because of all the perspectives in your class. Um, so let me just jump forward. I do want to highlight one other thing or two other things, one being student life. So you're going to be part of an inspiring, a collaborative community. And it is incredibly important because of the way the case method works, because of our classroom environment, that we bring together the most diverse community possible. And that's diverse in terms of geographic background, in terms of industry background, in terms of academic background, lived experiences, any way that you can think about it, because we need differences in opinions, differences in the way people view problems so that you continue to learn and develop. And so this is just a plug to be yourself in the application process, lean into the experiences that you've had. There is no one path to Harvard Business School. In fact, we can't have everyone on one path because that won't work for the case method, that won't work for our community. So I would just encourage you to really lean into the experiences that you've had. The last thing I want to highlight in our limited time is just about financial aid, because financial aid at Harvard Business School is very different than most of our peer schools in the US. Our admissions process is merit based. We are not thinking in any way when you're applying to Harvard Business School about your ability to pay for the program. That's not our job. That's not what we're thinking about. On the flip side, after you're admitted, you can apply for financial aid, and our financial aid is need-based. So we're not thinking about your merit during the financial aid process. We're thinking about your financial need. So we have financial support open to all students, domestic and international, and the amount of money you'll receive is based on how much demonstrated financial need you have. And you can see on our slide what we're going to look at to determine your financial need, and that's the same for everyone. Over half of our students do get some amount of need-based aid. 10% of our class, those with the most financial need, are actually going to get full tuition covered. And this is all because we want to make sure Harvard Business School is financially accessible for everyone. We don't want financing to stand in your way of studying at Harvard Business School. Similarly, we don't even want it to stand in the way of you applying to Harvard Business School. We do have an application fee with the application process, but if that presents any type of financial hurdle for you, you would go ahead and submit a request for a need-based waiver. So all that said, let me just wrap up, and then we'll move right into Q&A with things you need to know about Harvard Business School. The first is just our academic approach that really prepares you to be a leader making a difference in the areas that are important to you. And the two things to highlight there are the general management approach and the case method. The second thing is our community. It is incredibly diverse, and we want your voice here. If you think you have something valuable to share, we want you here. And then the last thing is the financial accessibility, because again, we don't want funding to stand in the way. I could talk for days about Harvard Business School. So those are just the three things I wanted to highlight big picture, but I hope that you'll join some HBS virtual or in-person events. If you click on the QR code or scan that code, we'll be able to continue to invite you to events where you can deep dive. We have a series of events happening this week and next week where a number of our student clubs are hosting chats where you get to talk to students and connect about the experience. All right. All that said, let's turn things over to Q&A. Should I try turning my camera back on or
Oh,
leave it
yes.
off?
Yes. If you could, then that would be lovely. Because you're not
Okay.
sharing
All right.
anything
We'll
now, so it's
see.
better.
We'll see how that works.
Yes, for sure. And thank you so much. Love that you kept it brief and only made sure to cover the necessary points. And I can already see a ton of questions in the Q&A tab. So let's start with the one that has maximum votes, which is how is
Okay.
international acceptance rate? Is it the case that international students usually need more than an average score?
So we don't have any kind of any quotas or any targets for particular regions, or even our overall international student number. We are admitting people who are able to deliver on the mission statement of being leaders who are going to make a difference in the world. We are looking at your ability to thrive in the Harvard Business School classroom and community. So we're looking at whether you're business oriented, we're looking at whether you're leadership focused, and we're looking at whether you're growth oriented. So the acceptance rate, I couldn't, we don't even think about it in terms of international. And in that case, international students usually need more than average scores. No, and that's a good question. We don't have any to take one in the last 5 years. And that is
Okay, I think,
very, very
again, I'm
much
sorry, but I think it's better if the camera is off. Yes,
okay. No
your voice is
problem.
much clearer when the window's off. Yeah, thank you.
All right, no problem. This is strange because I do calls all the time from this location and I don't have this issue. So I'm sorry about that. Well, you won't be able to see, but I am very much smiling. I love Harvard Business School.
We can
But
hear it in
back
your
to
voice.
admissions.
Yes.
Okay, good. Back to admissions. We don't have minimum requirements for the GMAT or the GRE. It is one part of your application. And we think of it as such. You should think of it as such. Of course, this is a selective program. You want to put your best foot forward. But we are really evaluating everything all together in a holistic fashion.
All right. Okay, here. The next question. How would attract a highly ambitious applicant pool? What's something that might help an applicant stand out beyond traditional metrics like GMAT scores and GPA?
Yeah, we do have a very strong applicant pool. We're very fortunate that a lot of very talented people are thinking about Harvard Business School. So, in terms of standing out, again, we look at everything all together, but in my experience, I would say one thing that can really help a candidate stand out, and this is a little bit out of your control, but it's the letters of recommendation. So it's a little bit out of your control in that you can't write the letters, of course, but it is in your control in that you are the one who can pick people. And you really, really need to pick people who know you well. Largely, all of our candidates pick people who say nice things. It is incredibly rare to read a recommendation that says this person's bad. This person is terrible. But there is a big difference between a positive letter and a strong endorsement for the candidate. And that difference usually can be seen in the examples and anecdotes listed in the recommendation, as well as the word choice. And so, what I would encourage you to do is choose your recommenders carefully. Choose people who know you well, who can speak in some amount of detail with some amount of conviction about you, because you're going to tell us wonderful things about yourself and your accomplishments in your application, and these letters really help reinforce, provide credibility for the things that you're telling us. So, again, you want to put a strong foot forward in all areas, but I do think letters of recommendation and recommendation choices can really help a candidate stand out.
Nice. I really like how you mentioned about the difference between a positive letter and a strong endorsement letter.
Mm,
I think that's where most of us
yes.
don't understand how it will help it. But yes, good point.
Yeah, and you can see the questions we're going to ask your recommender. So we're going to basically ask them to rate you on a bunch of leadership attributes and other attributes. Basically, we ask them to rate you on a number of things connected to our evaluation criteria, which I had just mentioned a couple minutes ago. And then we're going to ask them, how does this person compare to their peer group? And share with us a piece of constructive feedback that you've given to this candidate, and how did they respond to that?
Okay, very specific. But yes, I'm sure that must have helped everyone answer that question. Um,
Great.
Next up is regarding scholarships. You did cover about need-based, merit-based. You cover that
Mhm.
point, but I think the first question about scholarships, how do they vary from R1 to R2?
Okay. So, again, I'm glad that we were able to cover financial aid, because I think it's important to understand our philosophy and our approach, that we are primarily, or pretty much all, need-based aid. And I say primarily because there's a few handful of supplemental fellowships, but the our aid is very much need-based. In terms of the difference between round one and round two, and this is just overall, there are there's no difference between the two rounds except for timing. By that, I mean, you don't have a better chance of getting admitted if you apply in round one or round two. You don't have a difference in your financial aid amount if you apply in round one or round two, because again, it's not merit based aid. We are giving money to anybody and everybody who has demonstrated financial need. So whether you apply in round one or round two, your need would be the same. And so once you apply for financial aid, it wouldn't be impacted by the timing of that.
Okay. Okay. This is quite specific. What's the best way for entrepreneurial candidates to communicate their goals during the interview? Are there any specific qualities or stories that resonate most with the admissions committee?
So again, I think the second part of your question goes back to our evaluation criteria. We are looking for people who are business minded, people who you don't have to come from a traditional business background. You don't even have to aspire to work in a traditional business area, but you have to be someone who is interested in studying business, who is looking to develop a business mindset, who wants to learn how to help organizations move forward, who wants to help make a difference in the world through kind of a business approach. So we're looking for that. We're looking for people who are leadership focused, people who have some amount of leadership experience, whether it be formal or informal, but who aspire to be leaders, who aspire to lead diverse teams and nurture these teams towards, again, making a difference in the world, making this positive impact in the areas that are important to them. And then we're looking for people who are growth oriented, people who want to continue to learn and develop, who don't think they are, perfect as is, who are eager to engage in a rigorous and highly dynamic academic environment. So when you're thinking about your application, whether it be the written application or your interview, you want to be thinking about those three criteria and how you're going to speak to those. In terms of entrepreneurial candidates, any advice there? I would say if you are, in terms of entrepreneurial candidate, I'm going to make an assumption here that you mean you're coming from an entrepreneurial background. And so, if that's the case, I would just encourage you to be very clear, to provide context when helpful, to help us understand where you've been, what you've been working on, whether it's been a success or not, because that's part of it too for many people on their entrepreneurship journey. So we will just be looking to understand where you've been, what impact you've made, what you've learned. And so sometimes for entrepreneurs, they have to provide a little bit more context so that we understand what they've been doing.
Next one is, yes, I would like to know if there's consideration for admitting mature applicants to HBS MBA. For example, mature applicants from India with 15 years of industry experience, accounting and finance background, and also strong nonprofit community service.
Yeah. If you are interested in Harvard Business School, we are interested in you. We don't have any cutoffs. I guess the only thing I would say is you have to have some amount of work experience. You can't come direct from undergrad into our program. It is a professional degree, so we want to see that you've had some amount of your own professional experience that you can draw upon, that you can share with your classmates, that you can use to reflect as you learn and grow in the program. Um, but we don't have, and so we don't think about age at all, actually. We think about the number of years of work experience you've had. We think about the trajectory you've been on, how you've been challenging yourself. So on the low end, you can have as little as 1 or 2 years of experience, but on the upper end, there is no maximum. If you're interested in a 2-year full-time in-person degree, whether you have 5 years or 15 years, we're interested in you and you should go ahead and apply. The average is 5 years of work experience pre MBA, but that's very, very much what it is. It's an average of all the years of work experience across our class of over 900 students. So I would say you really have to think about when the right time is for you to apply to the business school, and what you're looking to get out of the program. But to us, we're not thinking about age. We're thinking about how you've utilized the years that you've been working, what trajectory you've been on, how you've challenged yourself, what you've learned in that period of time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I did find a question about reapplication. Hold on. Yes.
Okay.
Mm, there you go. During the
Okay.
previous application of reapplicants, what typically sets
Yes.
apart successful reapplicants?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, and I'm glad that you're still interested in HBS. Here's a little fact. 10% of our class every year, roughly, so about 90 to 95 students every year, give or take, are actually reapplicants. We know that this is a competitive process, and sometimes people don't get in on the first try. Sometimes they don't get in on the second or the third try. But if this is of continued interest to you, you should go ahead and give it another try. We are very reapplicant friendly. If anything, I consider reapplicants in a very positive way because I know that you are very interested in Harvard Business School, um, and you've shown that interest over the course of more than one application cycle. If you are reapplying, we ask you to complete a special part of the application that asks you to highlight to us, practically what has changed since you last applied. And sometimes there's a lot of changes and sometimes there's not, right? Because there might only be a few months in between when you apply. But then we also ask you to reflect on what's changed over, since the previous application. So when we're looking at your application, we're always going to put the most emphasis on the current application. And included in that, the reapplicant section. We are able and we do sometimes look at the previous applications just to kind of get a sense of what's changed as a refresher, but the focus is always on your current application. That's what's given the most time and attention.
Okay. I'm sure that that is reassuring for those applying once more. Um, I have a fun question up next. It may
Okay.
require
Okay.
it's so this person is really curious about the values and culture at HBS. If it were a person, how would you describe their personality or character? What traits do you think they would have that best represent the school?
Okay. This is a great question. The thing that's jumping to my mind are some of the flags, some of the sayings we have in the back of our classrooms. And there's one that's really calling out to me with this question, and that is hard work, humility, humanity. So it's, with hard work, with humility for humanity. And so, hard work. I think that students at Harvard Business School work really hard. That's partly because it is a rigorous academic program. We are preparing people to be leaders that are going to make differences in the world, and making a difference is really hard. That's a hard thing to do, and so our faculty have created and developed a very rigorous 2-year MBA program to prepare you to make that difference. So our students are working hard because the faculty members demand it, but our students are also working hard because they demand it. They want to work hard. They're coming to Harvard Business School because they want some type of significant transformation. There are lots of different MBA programs, a lot of great programs, and every program has, a different thing that they focus, different areas that their students spend the time. I can tell you at Harvard Business School, you will spend a lot of time in the classroom. We have classes most weeks 4 to 5 days a week, and every day you'll be in 2 to 3 classes per day. So people are working extremely hard with humility. People at Harvard Business School have accomplished great things. They've, whether they be formal or informal, um, people have accomplished things. People have made impact in the areas of where they've engaged before, whether it be in undergrad or in their communities or at work. But our students are very humble. They are there to learn and develop, to share their perspective, but also to hear from other people and learn from other people. And then the last thing for humanity, I would say people at Harvard Business School are there for something bigger than themselves. Of course, when you're looking to get a master's degree, a graduate degree, you're looking for some amount of personal and professional growth. And you should be. And you want to be able to gain something personally and professionally out of the program. But on top of that, our students are really here for something bigger than themselves. Most of our students have kind of a bigger North Star that they're working towards, whether it be fighting climate change or investing in underfunded entrepreneurs, or helping the economic advancement of the region or country they're from. So all that to say, these flags really resonate with me, and I think it's a good way to describe the to HBS: hard work, with humility for humanity. Of course, our students have a ton of fun too. I don't want to downplay that. You're here for 2 years. You're going to meet people from all over the world. You're going to be exposed to people who are so different than you. And you're going to realize in many ways just how big the world is, but at the same time, just how small the world is. And our students are very much engaged throughout the 2 years, and they have a lot of fun doing it.
Okay, that definitely sounds like a fun description of a personality. Um, okay, next up, yes, how do you ensure diversity when selecting from an overrepresented applicant pool?
So again, we don't have any kind of quotas when we're looking at any way you can slice or dice our applicant pool. We are looking for people who are qualified, who can deliver on the three evaluation criteria, the three things that we think are important to succeed in our classroom, in our community, and ultimately to be this leader who's going to make a difference in the world. I would say that people are a lot more different than they are similar. And so we're never just looking at one part of your candidacy or one part of your identity. So I'll give you an example. A lot of people are working consulting, are interested in the MBA. And so we'll get a good number of people who are applying from the consulting industry. Once you get past the industry that they're in, they are way more different than they are the same, right? So you have different firms, even within the same firm, people have different areas of focus, different projects that they've worked on. Beyond that, people are coming with different academic backgrounds, raised in different areas of the world. So um, I would say our process doesn't bucket people by these qualities. We're really taking a holistic approach and looking at you as an entire person, which means that you are from a region of the world, but you're also from an industry. You also have your own lived experiences. You also studied what you did in undergrad. So it's a hard question to answer. But really, where we take such a individualized approach to reading each application that it really everyone is so different, way more different than they are the same. And that's what makes my job so fun because I get to read and meet so many different candidates. And once you get past like the name of the school you went to or your company that you might work at, everyone just is so different. It's really exciting.
That is nice. Okay, next one is, are there any multidisciplinary MBA programs focused on artificial intelligence and emerging opportunities in this field?
Yeah, so a few things to talk about here. We do have joint degree programs. We have several that you can look at. So I think ones that might apply to this area. We do have an MSMBA in engineering. Our other programs, we have a JD so that's focused on business and law. We have an MD focused on medicine and business. We have an MSMBA in biotech. We also have two different joint degrees with the Harvard Kennedy School. So there are formal multidisciplinary programs that you can apply to. Also, you have the opportunity in your second year, if you don't want to get two degrees, to actually take courses outside of the business school. Um, Additionally, we have a lot of courses offered in the business school because we are a class of 900 students. We are able to offer a tremendous variety in the elective courses that we offer. So maybe at some universities, you might have to go outside the business school to take that more interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary course. We may be offering that at the business school. And you can actually go onto our website and under curriculum, you can look at the EC, the elective curriculum opportunities. In terms of artificial intelligence and emerging opportunities, that is something that our faculty are thinking about all the time and is getting incorporated into the program in lots of different ways. So one example is there's a new required course all of our first year students have to take called data science for managers. There are cases being incorporated into the curriculum, both the required curriculum and cases and courses being incorporated into the elective curriculum to prepare you for AI and for emerging technologies. I do want to say our program is focused on general management and helping you be a leader that's prepared for whatever happens, down the road. I think that who knows what's going to be the new AI in 20 or 30 years, but I think our degree in general management, the way we prepare people through the required curriculum, through the case method, is going to prepare people for whatever challenges and opportunities come down the road. Now it's AI and other emerging technologies, but who knows what it's going to be in the future. And so I think we have just a very strong foundation that is going to prepare you for whatever is going to come next. At the same time, our faculty are incorporating very real things into the curriculum, both in terms of courses as well as cases being studied, so that you can be prepared for this particular innovation and opportunity that's happening right now.
Okay. Um, okay, next one is a bit technical in nature. If someone
Mhm.
applies to the MS MBA program, are they considered for both programs separately, or is the decision for both taken together?
Yeah. So with our joint degree programs, you need to be admitted by each of the programs independently. And so that's kind of generally speaking. The MSMBA is a little bit different. So with all of our other programs, you could be admitted to one and not the other. You could be admitted into the MBA, but not the JD, or admitted into the MD, but not the MBA. With MSMBA, you could be admitted to the joint degree, or you could just be admitted to the MBA. The MS is not a standalone degree. I know that's very technical. So I think the main takeaway for you is that um, you do have two admissions boards that are reviewing your candidacy. And you have to be qualified and a strong candidate for both programs in order to be admitted into the joint degree program. There are some people who maybe are not a strong candidate on the MS side and could just be admitted to the MBA, but the vice versa could not happen with that particular program.
Um, okay, sure. Can you talk about the philosophy behind the case study method and how HBS engages students from a variety of backgrounds and experience levels?
Um, in terms of the philosophy, I don't know. I just know that it works. It's been around for a very long time. I don't know who thought of it, but I think it is genius. I know many schools use the case method. And in fact, many schools use Harvard Business School cases. So over 90% of the cases used all over the world are actually HBS cases. But I think it's just something completely different and special to be taught the case method from the faculty members who are actually writing these cases, who have been trained to teach the case method. And so cases, they're stories. They're written about real people, real business leaders, real companies, and real business problems. And our faculty are working with 18 different global research centers and offices to make connections to industry leaders and business leaders and government leaders all over the world, so that we can write cases about the way business happens all over the place. And so over half of our cases are global in scope. Again, I think what's so valuable about the case method is not only are you learning a ton about business, and the faculty, they orchestrate these 80-minute conversations that can go in so many different directions. And even if they've taught the case 10, 20 times, who's in the room is different. Their experiences are different. And so the conversation goes in different ways. But that's not to say that the faculty members aren't guiding it, aren't providing you with key takeaways at the end to really help you develop that business toolkit to continue to develop the knowledge in all different areas of business. So one thing about the case is definitely a very dynamic and vivid and memorable way to learn business frameworks and about business. But at the same time, just the soft skill development is so huge, because you are practicing being this business leader over 500 times. And so the way people develop in the classroom as leaders, as presenters, as communicators, as just people who show up in the world is really special. The development that happens in those 2 years, being in an environment where you're surrounded by people who are all just as smart as you, just as accomplished as you, and read the exact same case as you, exact same numbers and data, and who may approach it in a very, very different way. How cool is that to be in an environment where you learn how other people view the same thing, and learn how to appreciate other people's perspectives. I can't talk enough about the case method. I think it's incredible, and it's just such a memorable way to learn. How HBS engages students from a variety of backgrounds and experiences. I mean, this is what the faculty members are magic with. They pull so many people into the conversation, and they get to know you really well. So we have kind of like an internal LinkedIn system that our faculty members have access to, and all of our community members have access to. But this allows the faculty members, even before the first day of class, to know each and every student, to know if they're doing a case on Coca-Cola, who has experience working in food and beverage, who may even have experience working at Coca-Cola. And so they know a lot about you before they even walk in the door. And then over the course of the semester, they learn even more about you. They learn, who's always going to take a very financial approach to a certain problem or conversation, who is going to take a more human centered approach. And so they're really able to draw out so many different perspectives and really have students challenge one another on what they think. So I think the faculty members do a great job, and you have to want to participate at Harvard Business School. Like, you're there for a reason. We think you have something important to share. And so I think students, after they get over the initial nerves, hopefully, realize that what they say matters, and that they are involved in the learning and development of everyone in the class.
Okay.
We have a video on our website called Inside the Case Method. I highly, highly recommend you watch it. It's about 10 minutes long. That's a great way to just have an understanding of what the class looks like. And by the way, it's not all seriousness. We work really hard, but there's lots of laughing and smiling and clapping and support. And if you ever find yourself in Boston, would love for you to come see a class. We do allow visitors to come to class during the academic year.
Oh, that sounds like an awesome opportunity just to get a glimpse of what life would be like at Harvard. So it's eligible for anyone who is just interested in going and attending a class.
Yeah, you can go onto our site. We have a class visit program, and you can sign up. We offer classes most days a week. We allow visitors to come in. I mean, we're limited by when classes are offered. So just during the academic year, like September through late November, and then again in like February through April, we'll offer the class. And if you can't do that, seriously, the video is a great way to get an inside glimpse into what it would be like.
All right. Okay, we have about 2 minutes left. I just want to take this last
Okay.
question. It has a good number of votes. Um, what does HPS hope to learn from the third essay focused on growth and curiosity? What weight does it place on these values?
Yeah, so there's we all three evaluation criteria are important to us, and we're looking at all of them, and we are looking at every part of your application for those three things. So it's not that suddenly we are looking at, when we want to know if you're growth oriented, we're only looking at the third essay. We're looking at it all over the place, but these essays allow you to speak to the three evaluation criteria directly to the admissions committee. And so the third criteria, we're looking for people who are growth oriented, people who are curious, people who want to continue to learn and develop, people who have had enough experience in life that they have something to share, that they have a perspective, but who are also eager to learn from other people, who want to continue to grow and develop. And so we're looking here just to kind of get an understanding of what you might be curious about. And so sometimes people focus on one specific thing, sometimes it's broader, but we want to see what you're curious about, how you've grown, how you want to continue to grow. So it's pretty open in terms of how you can respond to that question. But essentially, this is when you're really speaking directly to the board about whether you are growth oriented.
Okay, and I'm not able to find the question right now, but somebody had mentioned if they had already, if they've already studied for an MBA program from some other university, uh, will what are their chances of applying again and being accepted at Harvard, considering that they already have an MBA degree?
Yeah. Well, we definitely have people who already have graduate degrees, whether they be masters or even in some cases doctoral degrees already. I wouldn't say it's terribly common for people to apply when they already have an MBA, because they already have that degree. But I do see it, and I know we have admitted people in the past who already have an MBA. I think we understand that the program that we're offering is very special, it's global, and there could be many valid reasons for doing a second MBA. And so I think if you already have an MBA and you're interested in another MBA and the HBS MBA, you've got to go for it, right? Like we can't admit you if you never apply. But I do think a question that whoever's reading your application would naturally ask themselves is, wait a second, why do they want a second MBA? And again, I think there's lots of valid reasons why someone might want that. But I think it will be important for you to articulate your rationale and what your reasons are in a very clear way, so that the people reading your application are going to understand what you're doing and they're not going to question it. They're going to get it.
All right. I think with that, our time has come to an end.
Yes.
Um, Okay, so I do believe that we covered a bunch of questions. And even though we couldn't see you on screen, your voice conveyed all the enthusiasm and excitement you have. So I don't think we missed anything there. But yes, thank you so much. And I know that there are a lot of questions that we missed out on answering, but that's where the website comes into place. That's where
Yes.
you can watch the video, like she mentioned, and the WhatsApp group link that we've sent. All of that cumulatively should help you to get a better understanding of what Harvard expects from its applicants. But yes, otherwise, thank you so much for doing this. And I'm sure it
Yeah,
was
thank you.
yes.
And if you want to continue to hear from us, definitely quickly scan that QR code. And we'd love to stay in touch. And just want to thank GMAT Club for the opportunity to meet you all today and spend the last 45 minutes with you. And I promise to get my tech figured out before tomorrow's session. So thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye. Take care.